Hello, everyone. I'm Alice, and I'm Jim Stigler's graduate student. And I realize I have the longest title. I'm not going to read it. And hopefully, you all understand what I mean by from construction workers to architects at the end of my presentation. So I do a lot of different research. I also do some research related to data visualization, and I'll be presenting that in Coxsci. So if you want to know more about that aspect, welcome to my poster session. But I want to introduce a different research project today. So I want to begin with the motivation behind this study by talk a little story about me and course kata. So I first got involved in course kata is like actually being an undergrad student. So actually the statistics class is the very first class I took at UCLA because I was a transfer student. So I transferred during the summer during the pandemic, and I really had a good experience in that class. For example, I learned my first programming language, R, and I really feel very empowered. But sadly, it was during pandemic. I don't know what other student really feels. And after that, I joined the lab as a research assistant, helping IC with her projects. And then later on, I got accepted into UCLA as a graduate student. So I started to look more into the theories behind our designs and also using course kata data to do some research, for example, like learning analytics. And then I got the opportunity to be a TA for this class, so take on a different role as instructors. So I TA'd both for the undergrad class and also for the graduate level class at UCLA. And I realized that the different perspectives make me really wondering how students experience this class. Even though I take different roles, even being an instructor, we seldom talk to students. We have a more than 200 student classroom, but actually, I would say on average, each quarter you talk to maybe less than 20 or even less than 10 students individually. And also, I realized that a lot of our work, especially in psychology, we are very obsessed with central tendency. So when we want to see whether an intervention works, we compare the group means and we just look at the vast majority of the data. But I think in order to understand student experience, it's really important to look at the variations. And how we can understand those variations, we cannot really learn those from looking at their performance, because students might give you the same performance, but actually they experience it in a very different way. So they have their different trajectories. So I think one way to really understand student experience is just to start some conversation, to talk to them so they can tell you their genuine experience in our class. So we see the variation in student experience because of different factors. And one big component is their prior knowledge. So they come to this class not as a blank slate. They have their whole life. So they might have different experience in math class, in statistics class, give them different level of preparedness. And also, they might have experience in programming language before or not. And actually, current and modern statistics class, more and more class decided to incorporate the programming language into their curriculum for different reasons. For example, traditional stats class, they really demands hand calculation, which can scare a lot of students away because they don't have a really solid math background. So programming language can help alleviate the hand computation and also can provide a bunch of wonderful data visualization to make students feel more engaged and make things more concrete to them. But programming language also introduce some additional difficulties to students. For example, some students might feel this is a whole new thing. I'm not a programming person. I feel really anxious. So how to effectively incorporate the programming language into the modern statistics curriculum is an important question. We need to find a balance. And we also have other factors get involved in this process, influencing their experience. For example, their epistemic beliefs, such as whether they have a fixed or a growth mindset. And they also have different learning strategies they adopted from the previous classes. So all of these factors can influence students' learning experience in a specific curriculum. So my purpose statement and the research question is, we really want to take individual differences and the contextual factors into account and adopt an amic perspective to explore how do students experience the course kata curriculum and what meanings and identities do students develop. So I want to even go beyond whether specific pedagogy can help them better learn a specific concept or not, but evaluating this curriculum, what students get out of this class. And also importantly, we want to identify what factors support or hinder student learning. So the research method I use is I interviewed a Master of Social Science student at UCLA. It's actually a convenience sample. So I was their TA for the past whole year, 3 quarters. And this is a fairly small cohort. They only have 24 students in that class. And I was able to recruit 18 students from their class to conduct interview with me. And that group is also I feel like it's like a mini society. They really come from different backgrounds. We have slightly more female students than male students, and most of them came from non-STEM background. And we also have roughly half domestic US students and half Chinese international students in that group. So you can imagine that people came from all different types of background. And you don't need to read this. This is just a poor visualization of students' undergrad majors. So the darker blue is the 2 STEM majors, and all the rest are the non-STEM major. So we have slightly more psychology and sociology students, 3 of each. And but across the board, you really see they came from different disciplines. So I conducted a 1-hour semi-structured interview with the student, and the interview protocol followed the 3-interview framework. So in each interview, I do not only ask them questions about our class, but start from their life history, their previous educational background, and then we discuss some detailed experience in our class. And at the end, we also ask them to do some reflections on the meaning. For example, what do you really see you learn from this class beyond the actual concept level? So for each interview, first we did is we curated each data set. And what do I mean by data curation is we supplement the actual transcript with a lot of contextual information, which includes some class observation I saw during the class. Like for each student, are they the type of student who frequently answer questions during class or not? So supplement this with a lot of contextual things. And for the Chinese student in that class, most of them prefer to be interviewed in Chinese. So we also do some translation before the data curation. And after we curated the data set, we adopt the grounded theory approach to do a series of coding of our data. So we started from open coding, which is simply read through the transcript and highlight the part and find some emerging themes and factors. And then we did the Excel coding, which is trying to understand the relationships from the emerging themes we found from the previous step, from the open coding. And then we got a very comprehensive codebook. And at the end, because we touch on so many different questions in the interview, but we want to narrow our focus on something we found most interested in. So we did the selective coding to find some specific factors we want to focus to report. And here comes the finding. So I want to start from the main assertion. It's just a summary and overview of the overall theme we found from the interview. So I think the strength of the course kata approach lies in, first, its alignment with student personal interests and goals. And second is its emphasizing on providing opportunities for meaningful practice. And I will expand what meaningful practice means later. And at the same time, we will also witness a lot of challenges in our curriculum that we might want to help our students in the future. Okay, so the first one is alignment with student personal interests and goals. I know it's very text heavy because I want to provide some actual quotes from the interview, and we might not need to read them. I'll just summarize them, and I will give you the slides. If you're interested, you want to read student personal story, feel free to read those experts. So the first factor we found very effective is the use of diverse real-world data sets. So it's really striking to me that when I ask what students like about the class, all of them, every single individual student, they mention the way they like the real-world data set. So, for example, they like its applicability, and they even mention that whenever real life comes and we get into it, we can be like, this is similar to what we did in school. And I think this is very rarely happened in some math class and statistics class, because students entering those classes sometimes with very low interest in those specific domain. And they also couldn't find the connectedness between the knowledge they learned during class and what they do in daily life. But for our students, because of using this diverse real-world data sets, they were able to find the connections between what they learn from the class and their actual life. And here's another example, and this one I think is very interesting. It's related to some of the conversation we had today. So this student is saying previously they found so he is a sport fan, and he finds there's some statistics introduced before every game, and he found those statistics are crazy. And after taking our class, he found we completely changed the way he view those statistics. So he said that now I can imagine doing the data analysis in my head while I'm listening to the news. So I think I'm out of time, but I will give you the slides, and we can have more conversation during the break. Thank you so much.